is interesting, like taking these tests, like it's funny because I remember reading something about like Vernon, like his test right here is different now because he retook it recently. I think
Oh,
he
really?
was like I think he started off with like a extrovert, but now he's an introvert.
Mm.
So,
I mean, it
it
makes sense. We all change. I mean, no one's the same after every 5 years, I feel like a new person.
yeah, yeah, it's true, because of your surroundings
Mhm.
or like your circle of friends may change, so that affects your personality too. So, I'm pretty sure he mentioned that like on Weverse like recently, but Carrots let us know because like I'm pretty sure like Vernon said something like that, like he's like an introvert right now. So, which is so interesting, you
Well,
know?
if you think about it, 2 years in the pandemic, who isn't an introvert right now?
I know.
So
It's
that's
so
another
true.
thing. That situation, it's kind of, if you ever had any social anxiety, it's all piling in.
Yeah, it's so true. That's such a good point because like I'm like, yeah, like when they were saying that they're okay with being alone, like some of the personality traits, I was like, "Oh, I totally get it." Like especially like you said now, like the pandemic, like we're all so like used to being in our own little space and bubble and away
Mhm.
from like social circles. I mean, now we're kind of like slowly like reaching out to friends and hanging out and stuff like that. It just feels weird again, just to be around
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah, when I first went somewhere where there was more than like 10 people, I was like, because in your
yeah,
head, you're like, I'm not supposed to be around more than 10 people.
yeah,
But, of course, eventually we're going to go back to that. So it's very interesting.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
like even for us, like when we went to the BTS concert in November, we're like, this feels weird. Like, are we allowed to be around these people at all?
yeah, that's definitely the biggest event I've been to in what, 2.5 years?
Hmm.
So it's really crazy. Yeah, I do feel like mine definitely changed because the first time I did it, I was, living in a different city, working a different kind of job.
Yeah.
Like you said, had different friends.
Hmm.
I don't think it changed from like the first time I did it, definitely changed to the second time, but the second time to the third time, I think it was pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Um, but I do feel like maybe I could see this would be something that you might want to take like once every decade and
Yeah.
just see if like you still check the same boxes.
Yeah.
I was not in this group, by the way. I remember I'm a campaigner.
Ah,
So
okay.
17 would not have let me be in their group.
That's not true.
But I do remember the only famous campaigner I remember, of course, was RM.
Oh,
So I'm sure
amazing.
there were other people too, but I was just so stoked that I was the same as RM. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, but it
Who
definitely
doesn't want
wasn't
to be
like a
like RM?
super, right. It wasn't like a super tiny one like yours, though, like a one percenter.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, I
that's
think
crazy.
yeah, I think I have my results like on my phone right now. It's like saved on like my favorites somewhere. I can never remember. I just remember I'm like introvert. I'm like, it's true. I'm an introvert. No one believes me though. I am. And when I tell them, they look at me all funny and I'm like, "Why are you looking at me funny? It's true." Yeah.
I don't think most introverts passionately declare and fight with people over their introvertedness. They probably just like slowly back away like Homer Simpson into the bush. Like yell at people.
I'm like, I am, damn it. Stop trying to make me defend myself. Yeah, gosh, like where is it?
Well, and
Yeah,
I know even if you're like a general thing, like campaigner, advocate, then the other things like it splits into smaller groups.
yeah,
Um, there's technically like 5 letters, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 dash something
yeah,
else,
yeah,
depending.
yeah. I am a turbulent advocate. I was like turbulent, I'm like, dang, turbulent sounds kind of crazy, but INFJT. So my role is a diplomat. And
INFJT. What's the J for?
so I know I always forget this every single time. I feel
I wish they would just like with all acronyms, put the acronym and then immediately below it say what it means
yeah.
instead of making me work so hard to figure it out. I just don't know what the J is.
Yeah, once upon a time I knew. I wrote down a piece of paper somewhere, like an old fart,
We'll do our
but
research. We'll
yeah,
circle back.
circle back for sure.
But I'm definitely interested for all of our carrots and any of our subs. If you know what you are, please put it in the comments because I find it really interesting if you
Yeah,
feel comfortable.
yeah,
Because it can be very revealing. And like I said, just like astrology, sometimes the worst part about it is you're like, 3/4 of it is right, but this stuff's really wrong. But the 3/4 that's right is not stuff I'm proud of.
yeah, yeah.
You're like, I mean, it's true, but
Yeah, when I went through the results on this, I honestly took this like literally, I think like a few weeks ago, just
oh
for
wow,
kicks.
yeah.
Last year I took it too, and I had the exact same results,
Mhm.
so I was like, okay, nothing changed, of course, you know.
Nothing did change. This
Yeah.
year was supposed to be different, Tammy. Try it again in 2 more years.
I know. I'll try again in 2 more years. Yeah. But but yeah, when I read through the results, I was like, oh dang, man, someone really knows me really well.
You're like, that's me. And the questions are interesting because they're not like super invasive or anything. Like, it's kind of amazing that they can extrapolate so much out of fairly basic questions.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm like, it's so interesting, like to just know more about yourself that way too,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, huh. This does sound like me.
Okay, I just remembered I put mine in my Twitter profile, but I didn't put the fifth letter. I'm an ENFP. I don't know what that means.
Oh, well, let's look it up
I know
right
it's an
now.
extrovert.
Yeah, you're definitely an extrovert for sure. ENFP, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you're extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and prospecting personality traits.
Perspecting? What's that mean?
Prospecting,
Oh,
feeling, and sorry, wow, like
that's
my,
fine. That's fine, Hoshi. I get it.
I know. Yeah, you're a campaigner. Okay, so like you said, and
I
let's
can't remember if
see.
I have like a T. It's like a hyphen something, but I didn't put that down. I feel like it's either T or a A or something.
These people tend to embrace big ideas, actions that reflect their sense of hope, goodwill towards others. Their vibrant energy can flow in many directions.
Mm,
Oh, I agree with that. You do
right? Not too
yeah,
bad.
yeah, you do have great energy. Yeah, and true fierce. Wow, I cannot talk today. True free spirits, outgoing, open-hearted, check.
True, true.
Open-minded, check. Outgoing, check. I know I just said that earlier, but I just want to say check.
Saying it again. Saying it again.
With their lively, upbeat approach to life, they stand out in any crowd. But even though they can be the life of the party, campaigners don't just care about having a good time. These personality types run deep, as does their longing for meaningful emotional connections with other people, which is true because, like, you keep saying that you are a feeler, and you are a feeler,
Yeah.
like you could feel people's emotions and,
Yeah.
like,
I'm
yeah,
very empathetic. And it's funny because I feel like sometimes when you're extroverted, people think that you're a narcissist a little bit, but that's not necessarily the case. Like
yeah,
I can be an extrovert, but what I still like can read a room. I feel like I read a room really well. I'm always the person going, that person's about to get really mad, you should back off.
yeah.
And other people are like, why? I'm just telling her the truth. I'm like, well, maybe today's not the day. She's having a bad day. I can see it. Let's be chill.
Yeah,
So yeah. Oh wow, that's yeah, it's funny how much of it is true, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, again, how do they even come up with this stuff? What
It's so
personality
crazy.
type writes these tests?
I know, right? It's just like I wonder if it's like a group of people or
Yeah, I
whatnot,
mean, it must be like a sociology department that came up with it or something.
Yeah. It can't just
um
be just one person. I know it derived from a person, but still,
yeah.
these are so thorough.
Briggs Meyer, I'm hoping that's at least two people. Or Meyer Briggs.
Meyer
Meyer
Briggs.
Briggs.
Yeah, Meyer Briggs. I mean, it also could be let's see. Well, we'll talk more about who originated it next time, because now
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
true.
go down like a rabbit hole.
That's
of,
true.
like,
We've sent you on a research kick.
yeah, and we all know I love research, and I'm just gonna be sitting here like for the next 3 hours, just like reading everything to you guys.
I was gonna say in the second job where I had to take it, I felt very uncomfortable because we did it in like a group setting, team by team. And I that's why I understood our guardian so well. I was the only one of my type. So then once there was probably like 15 of us, and then they broke us up into smaller groups based on our type, based on the first letter of your type. Not all the way down because that would have been too intense. So and then everyone had to do group stuff together, but I
Yeah.
was the only one with my first letter. So I had to do everything on my own.
That's crazy.
And I was just like, why am I even doing this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the
Right.
whole point was to get to know people better. And I was like, can't you guys just pretend I'm something else? Because like I don't think I'm getting what you guys want me to get out of this.
Yeah.
And in fact, it just made me feel like a freak. And then
Aw.
after that, I was like, I am a freak. I don't like it here. And I quit my job. So it did help me, I guess, in that way. I was like, none of these people are like me. This explains why I'm not that happy here. I feel like you need like some commonality in your day-to-day life. I mean, you spend so much time with those people. You've got to like them a little.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a little, for sure.
Sorry, side tangent, but you know.
No, it relates like to the whole thing though. You know, that's so crazy that like your job, like you had to take that test, you know?
Weird? I mean, I guess it was for like team building is what they always say, but it's also kind of like it does seem like you're trying to figure out who's the sociopath in the office.
Right?
Guess what? We already know it's that guy. The one at the end. You've seen him by the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like we don't need a test. We know.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like some of these tests, like are like corporate offices, like make you take, and it's like really like for team building. Like now I'm just gonna get judged, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And now everyone's gonna remember this and be like, "Oh, be careful! You know she doesn't like blah blah blah." It's like what? I had a friend who took one in an interview. Like he had his first interview and it went well. And when they called him back for the second one, he had to take the test. And I was like, "Is that to make sure you're gonna meld like with the team?" I wasn't sure if it was good or bad. It seemed weird.
Yeah, I forget who in 17 said that, like, well, you know, this is a test, you know, but 75% could be true, you know, like most of it could be true and the other part not, you know. So it's interesting to me that some employers like rely on this test because it's like it's so broad. Like, yeah, there's parts of it that it's like really true. And but others not so much. Okay, yeah, woozy. Woozy was one of them, but there was someone else that said that. But you know, like it's just
and because it can change.
Yeah, definitely.
And you don't know how that person is going to change in this new job, in this new environment. Yeah, it seems like you're really judging them based on their past and not looking to what their future is going to be, and their future is going to be with you, hopefully.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It wasn't like the Myers-Briggs test, but it was like some sort of personality test that our job took as team building, and we all took it. Okay, it's strange to say it's team building, but we weren't in one cohesive team taking this. Like we were with like other departments too.
Oh, that's weird.
I know it was weird, but yeah, I remember that my boss came back and she was like, "Oh man, like you're the sensitive one out of the group, you know, like I totally get it. You're like that personality. Like we're trying to guess like whose personality is what," and I'm like, "Excuse me?" You know, I'm like, "What?" Okay.
Yeah, and doesn't that seem something weird for your boss to know?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well, I know she like, cause like we spend so much time like more than family, right? So I mean, to your point earlier, like, you want to hope that you like an inkling of that person, you know, because you're with them like more than
they might not be your best friend, but you don't want to hate them actively, passionately.
Yeah. And so like I spend so much time with her that like of course she knows my personality, but I find it funny like when like instantly when she came back she was like, "Oh yeah, this personality is still you," and she was like reading it off from a piece of paper because like she knows me, right? Because it's already like a few years into like the job, and so I read it and I'm like, why do you guys say it like that? But okay, yeah, you're right. You know, I was like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I get it.
It's funny
You
how
know?
I feel like when you do this with friends or family, it doesn't feel judgy. But
Hmm.
in a work environment, it can feel a little like they're looking for your flaws and not your strengths.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.